Welcome in, good hunter. I wrestled up another batch of Bloodborne fan games, and I would love to tell you all about them while I give them a playthrough. These games are all creations on PlayStation Dreams, a powerful game and art creation platform native to PlayStation 4 and 5. If you own a copy of Dreams, every one of these projects is playable by you, completely free, so I'll make sure to include the landing pages and the verbatim game titles if you want to find them yourself. I just searched the library for Bloodborne in the titles or tags, played a batch of the results, and packaged them up for you here. Now, not all of these are technically games. A portion of them will be playable dioramas with minimal gamification elements. Others of them are demos or rather short games, and some are meme trash. But occasionally you run into something incredible, artistic, and impressive that deserves way more love than just a couple hundred plays before the platform inevitably dies and they disappear. You'll see, we have a couple of excellent ones today. Let us play Bloodborne at home. I'll start us off strong. This one is called Sekiro and Ebrietas, Bloodborne, Come Dark Souls World, and its tagline is, Boy meets girl in the arena of Dark Souls 3. Immediately, yup, we're playing as a Sekiro, and we're definitely in the Kiln arena with that eclipse from Dark Souls 3. It's not a bad looking character model. We've got a jump, a dash, attack combos, and L1 is supposed to be guard, but I used it to do thigh clapping. There's a grappling hook that they tutorialize by forcing you to use it to enter the boss arena. Then we're fighting Ebrietas. Her model looks pretty good for Dreams, down to the wiggling head macaronis, but the shininess of her arms does kind of give balloon animal. They even implemented a recognizable moveset of slams and sweeps. What's cool, they worked her into a Sekiro boss with the posture meter, and some of her attacks show the kanji, meaning I'm supposed to jump them or dodge or whatever. I get through one of her bars, and after a pretty janky visceral attack, she helicopters and whooshes me away. Without really understanding the mechanics here, I was able to blunder through the fight to win, so I tried once more where I engaged with the fight a little bit more genuinely. Even then, it still felt pretty floaty. There was one prompt you could grapple onto her upper wing, so I tried that a few times, but it kind of just sent me airborne and flying away. I'm not sure what the goal was with that grapple. So no, the combat is not super tight, but it's not awful, and I got the visceral animation to work correctly this time for a satisfying kill. Overall, this game is artistically highly impressive, and I like what they were doing with it. They had a clean UI that was actually aligned. This was definitely Sekiro and Ebrietas come Dark Souls world. This one is called Bloodborne, Moonside Lake, one of the most famous scenes from Bloodborne. It definitely is. Hold up, that's not in Bloodborne. That's just a cute cone dancing on the moon while beep boop human music plays. Is this what they meant by Coney Island? A bait and switch, but this one's cute. I'm not mad. This one's also a diorama, but a little more realistic. Bloodborne X Souls, the Cleric Beast surprises a knight. It's a dark, firelit diorama of the Cleric Beast fighting a Demon Souls knight, with boss music playing. No interactivity, just a nice static scene, and I like the choice of camera angle and the low lighting that causes pretty dramatic silhouettes. It's pretty. Okay, Frost's Journey is technically not tagged Bloodborne, but there's a Frost's Journey 2 that is, so I went to that creator's page and I looked for the prequel. It opens with a sailboat on calm, misty waters. We're not too far from shore, as evidenced by the seagulls flying by. Cut to a very depressing rainy dock. Atmospherically, this creator has nailed Bloodborne. The dim blue grays in the rain is very Fishing Hamlet. Frost's Journey has got some interesting mechanics. You have a lantern for light, which you can toggle to place in your hand, which produces more light. We have a bell to ring that doesn't seem to do anything. We can drop moonstones, which work like shiny coins to mark your path, and we can unsheath a sword that has one narrow thrusting attack. There's also a button dedicated to taking your hood on and off. Proceed up a hill and cross the bridge into a castle full of demon monkeys. Combat is sadly clunky and unbalanced. These enemies deal 40% of your health in one hit, and our attack is not easy to land. We have a gun that's a little hard to aim as well. The environment in Frost's Journey is wide open and very dark. Playing reminded me a little bit of Frigid Outskirts, how you're probing around in the dark with enemies appearing in the fog. There are quite a few of monkeys to fight, but winning has no benefits, so the only real option is to sprint fast. I blunder my way to a dark staircase leading me back outside to a forest, where this terrifying troll rushes up to me and eats me ski-free style. I made several attempts to either defeat or get past the troll, but it's too agile to run by, it one-shots you if you try to fight it, and shooting did not seem to stagger it either. Dying resets you a ways back, so I decided I can progress no further in Frost's Journey, and I exited the menu. But wait, I checked the comments on a whim. Gay Pony 1 said, "Please nerf monkey," and the creator replied, "Try use bell," so I had to go back and check what the bell can do. Sure enough, it repels a monkey attack. Monkeys are very afraid of the bell, backing so far off that I couldn't kill them if I wanted to. Could this work on the ski-free troll? No, he still ate me up. I love what this creator established here with the setting, and some of these mechanics are heading in an interesting direction. Let's see how the sequel goes. Frost's Journey 2, a sequel to a game I made ages ago. Unfinished. But I mean, I would say that it kind of is. Y'all, Frost's Journey 2 is incredibly artistic, lovingly designed, and intensely feelsy. Do not sleep on this. It turns out the creator suffers from schizophrenia, and the art and themes in these games are designed to imitate and help process their disease, and that comes through in the expository journal. Our name is Frost Bogaloo, and we're a Constantine-style exorcist. Fighting demons has taken its toll on us, and we've taken on their corruption. We're seeing and hearing things now beyond the curtain of reality. I think that's a really interesting way to incorporate your disease with an in-lore explanation of our hallucinations as demons we're fighting, and it's an excellent metaphor. FJ2 starts with an in-depth tutorial chamber that walks us through a million combat mechanics that this game does not really need. We have 3 weapons, a bare fist, sword, and a gun, but our left hand can either be empty or a prototype-style scythe mode which transforms all our attacks into multi-hit tentacle whips. It's an interesting take on trick weapons. There's also a scythe dodge, which is a huge forward flip. I didn't find the need to use most of this strategically. Scythe attacks give nice chunky hits that solve every situation in the game. This creator put a lot of work into the combat design, but there just aren't enough situations where we will benefit from doing anything besides scythe attacks. The first level is a very dark hamlet in the rain. Torches struggle against the rain on black roadsides. The town contains a few non-vocal NPCs, which fits well the exposition of us being a feared outcast. At the end of the road, the gates groan under monster blows. I give the signal, and a guard opens the latch, inviting in a swarm of monkeys. I remember my training from the first game and ring the bell, disrupting the crowd of monkeys and allowing me to scythe them out. Advance forward and the gates shut behind me. It's just me now, alone in the dark, wet woods against unknowable demons. Level 2 starts out in a misty, rainy wood. Levels in FJ2 are big and relatively empty, but I mean this as praise because it works in service of the game's theme. I feel isolated and unsafe. It would feel comforting to see more enemies to know that I'm on the right track. Instead, I advance with the paranoia that a level that looks empty at first may hide something in the shadows. Keeping the game very dark makes enemy visibility a mechanic, which I know will anger a lot of players, but I love what it adds. Perception and awareness as skills in video games is very fun for me, but I know that doesn't come off too well in the footage because it's dark. A second enemy type is introduced here, casters who raise their arms and build up our mania meter, but they don't directly attack our health. This reminds me of Darkest Dungeon, where certain enemies are not physically dangerous, but they'll attack you with stress. We'll touch more on mania later. You have limited bullets, healing, and moonstones, but this game has a rather cool consumables system. All items work like Dark Souls Estus, wherein you have a limited amount, but they can be replenished. What's different is, resting is not bound by any set location. Rather, you have a craft items ability that charges up as you kill enemies, and you can take 5 anywhere to enter a long animation where your character actually prepares the items. You don't just glow when they replenish, there's real crafting animations. I came to a fork and dropped moonstones to indicate which direction I'm going. Heading right took me to a very dark cave. The lantern didn't even help much. It was like using your high beams in the fog. I had to navigate not by my light, but by these blue runes glowing on the walls, using shape recognition to gauge my progress. I thought that I was lost until I noticed that one wall was interactable, causing it to slide away. Past that, a long tunnel back out to more dreary forest. I have never felt so bleak in a game before, alone with my little lantern against the darkness. A new level started here, a small canyon littered with mania casters. Approaching one to take it out puts you in range of others, so you've got to act quickly. This is the biggest mania risk in the game. Reaching high mania makes your game freak out Eternal Darkness style. Your UI spasms showing incorrect levels on your bars. I also had it screw with my controls temporarily and make me stumble around. Shadows appear in the lantern that aren't even there, and whispers started coming out of the controller speaker saying, "I saw something." This was terrifying. Then there's the small matter of, turning into a werewolf. There's a damn ski-free troll across this bridge, but with the help of a maxed out mania bar, I transformed into an actual werewolf Skyrim style and go maul down the troll before awakening, unable to trust my own body anymore. This game is cool. The next level starts on a cliffside. A few monkeys run at me from the mist. Then I hear the footsteps of another. I turn around. Nothing is there. This game is playing tricks on me. Pass over some sketchy footbridges and reach a long stone bridge leading to a huge Drangleic-looking castle. The battle on this big bridge is the biggest combat test of the game. There's several ski-free trolls, but fortunately they can be battled legit in this game thanks to our scythe arm. I haven't touched on this mechanic yet, but popping a heal also refills your stamina bar, which I think is a nice touch because it allows me to keep up pressure on the trolls or just sprint longer in the large levels. Then a robed figure awaits me at the castle gates. A boss? Walk up to it and... After a slow, pained wake-up, we're floating down the river on a makeshift raft. This set piece is not something you'd find in Bloodborne, and I'm all here for it. I don't know if monsters would crawl on the raft Pocky and Rocky style, but it turns out our only enemy is the coming waterfall. Hop off on this staircase around the river bend to the small comfort of a fire, a little bit of light in the fog. We're down at the base of the castle now. Shall we make our way up? The final level in this game begins with a rushing wave. Hiding is not an option. We must run. Reach an elevator to floor 2, but keep on sprinting because the water has not stopped rising. Enemies dot the path, but the wave will take them. Reach a second elevator, but this one stalls out. Uh-oh. Enemies are falling in from above, and we're stuck doing elevator combat. That's manageable until mania builds up on me and I actually start being forced to walk backwards. Luckily we managed to stay aboard, and at the top of this elevator, a moment of calm by another fire resets my mania, and I climb a ladder out to end the game. It's already clear how I feel about this game, but let's talk brass tacks. The combat is functional, but it's over-engineered and not very well balanced. There's multiple weapons and cool dodges and stuff, but all you really have to do is just use scythe attacks. Controls are pretty good considering the platform, but there is a little bit of wonkiness, especially when trying to control a speeding werewolf that got me killed running off of bridges unintentionally. But the character animations are beautiful, and the aesthetic and the artistic vision here are top-notch. I would love to play a full Soulsborne game with the mania system, and I thought the item preparation was a pretty good mechanic as well. Frost's Journey 2 is exactly why I want to make these videos. It's a gem that deserves way more people to enjoy it. Go play this one. Alright, that was pretty heavy. This one is way lighter. Sponge Souls, 2D and 3D. The settings menu just says LOL when you click it. While I get used to the controls in this meme game, a brief entreaty that you like the video or leave a comment if you're enjoying the series. I know Dreams games are not really algo-friendly content, but my heart is 100% in on sharing these, and I am thankful for any engagement. You guys are the best. Let's play some damn SpongeBob. For being such a pile of troll garbage, this game has a surprising amount of content. The overworld is a 2D plane in Bikini Bottom. You have an attack, jump, a high jump which can only go straight up and down, and perplexingly a sneak that never comes up. Squidward says to go kill a robot, so let's go kill a robot. Mechanically, this first fight is a mess. It's clear what they were going for, but the platforms spin wildly without correct momentum, so I got stuck in a Portal-style falling loop, and the boss's hands clipped through the platforms really bad. After getting whipped around at the level's mercy for about a minute, he randomly headbutts, and I luck into smashing a button on his head to just straight up win the fight. Okay. Squidward next points us to Patrick's, plural. We enter some asylum under a blood sky, and suddenly I'm fighting multiple giant rabid Patricks launching ice cream at us. They seem immune to anything I do, until I realize that they disappear if you jump up to hit them in the dick. Clearing all 4 of them made a new boss one spawn in the darkness. Questionable placement, who was not succumbing to the same tactic. I was about to quit as he seemed undamageable when, with frame-perfect apex height off a double jump, I did succeed in hitting him in the dick and won the fight out of nowhere. Then there's a platforming section which mercifully controlled pretty well, leading to a Sally boss fight that killed me immediately because the floor is rotating lava planes. The camera starts behind a fence and you only have 1 hit point. The next time in, I was more prepared to adjust the camera, but I still died when the lava suddenly reversed direction. On my 3rd try, I finally figured out how to stay alive, so I was able to build on that and see how I can damage the boss. Looks like double jumping at her axle and attacking shaves off the tiniest fleck of HP. After dying to greed once, I played it safe on my 4th try and grinded out a Sally victory, the only fight in the game that feels like I actually earned it. The final boss is a mecha plankton whose evil plan is to bring Soulsborne into Bikini Bottom. Little too late for that. All he does is kick forward in a monster pistol squat. His backside is completely safe. I had to grind out swings on his lumbar region for 2 minutes straight, but that did the trick and I won the game. This is dumb. Steampunk Weapons Showcase is a gallery of 7 brass cogwork-looking weapons straight out of a remnant from the ashes. You can just view the weapons, or toggle an ultra-caked-up big sister to pose with each of the weapons and move the camera around. Not much to say, except the modeling work is excellent. Worth noting, this was made by the creator of Glory Arsenal from my previous video, but I did not notice any of these weapons in use in their creations. We've got Beksin V2 Combat Playtest. It's marked Whip, and yeah, it's pretty jank, but there's actually a fair bit to be happy with. Structurally, it's a crappy little test space with buttons to spawn 3 kinds of enemies, plus a test boss. but a bit of light shines through these rough edges. For one, they actually have a working skill tree with nodes that upgrade your stats or grant active abilities in the form of combo attacks. Character progression is not very common in these Dreams games. When you perform a heavy attack, your character temporarily tricks their weapon and swings with a Giganto sword. I thought that was pretty cool. Then I tested out the boss, and I have to say, Beksin actually has one of the best boss combats I've tried. The boss does not just beeline for you and flail, he takes breaks to slowly walk up before starting a combo with well-timed Dark Souls-feeling timings that were actually dodgeable and predictable. Predictable combos and functional dodge windows really set this boss far ahead of many Dreams Souls-likes, which tend to play pretty loose and often devolve into spamming attacks and trading blows. This game has ragdoll corpses too, which I think is a unique achievement on the platform. So yeah, this one's obviously a bare-bones demo, but there's some meat on the bone here. Give me the level design of Frost's Journey with the combat of Beksin, and you've got a stew going. This game had Mortal Shell Tag 2, which I have not played, so I wonder if there are similarities there I didn't notice. Let me know. Bloodborne Moonside Lake ... The Veil of Secrets is the first of 3 creations we will see from Hereth 13. Dozens of spiders were allegedly harmed during the making of this stream. This is a non-meme Moonside Lake that we were hoping for earlier. It's a cute little diorama of the lake with a rather well-detailed ROM, a Thumerian queen I can only get about 30 yards from due to invisible walls, and a lantern that, when lit, beckons the blood moon comically fast. Winter Lantern la-la-las echo in the background. This diorama was very nice. Good work. Okay, we've got Elden School Ring. This is marked as a PS1 version of some Glaive Master Hodir fight. I think this is just a re-release of another game with an extreme pixelation filter overlaid, and they called it good. And the music is absolutely blasting. This one feels like a troll, but looks like a game. My lightsaber is only tickling the boss. Combat is way too loose to properly block or dodge, so dying here never feels like I had control of it, and I can't see a darn thing. We're done here. Except, unfortunately, I found the original, Elden Ring Glaive Master Hodir. It's the same thing without the asinine pixel filter. More visual clarity does not improve this game much. It's just a boss fight against Glaive Master Hodir with wildly vibrating weapons and crap controls. Blocking works unpredictably some of the time, and rolling does almost nothing. On some attempts, I was able to make progress against the boss, but it's so swingy that losing never felt like it was my fault. I set a counter of 7 attempts to try and beat the boss, and I did not manage to beat him, so I gave up here. This game highlights exactly why I praised Beksin. When the combat is loose, these games devolve into trading blows hoping you win first, and our sword did not do enough damage that I ever pulled that off here. Next. Bloodborne, Orphan of Kos, is the second creation by the Moonside Lake guy, and this one is very impressive. It's a walkable diorama of the Kos beach area. They start you in the caves here, which adds a little bit of exploration. I found some winter lanterns looking disgusting in first person, who sing and glow with red frenzy light. In the back of the cave, I marveled at the ceiling for a bit until realizing that they had actually included the drinking well ladder and the Rakuyo shark on the ceiling. Seriously impressive details in the cave. I wonder what the shore's like. A thin fog gate leads out to Kos's corpse, and Orphan himself is standing there looking very good. If you get close, you can hold square to call him a good boy, their words, which turns him to face you. Or you can press triangle to make him follow you around like a puppy with pretty realistic walking animations. Of course, I had to try bringing him back through the fog wall with me to see if he interacted with the winter lanterns, but that's a negative. Awesome scene. This one is impressive work. I've got 2 more games for y'all today. Bloodborne Micolash Joins the Hunt is the final creation we will see by Hereth 13, and this one is a little more of a game than the other 2. At least, it looks like it's gonna be. It starts off in a fixed camera angle, and I'm excited that this might play like Resident Evil. You control a Micolash with a tutorial message to hit R1 to call beyond and gather insight from the eyeballs around you, and square does an Augur of Ebrietas attack. It seems like this one wants to be a little platformer where we hop around collecting eyeballs, but the gaps between platforms are way too large for Micolash to jump. Perhaps there's supposed to be a route hidden on the far side, but the fixed camera angle makes it impossible to know. I feel like I'm missing something because you can tell the level is modeled out a little ways, but I failed to leave the starting platform. Got my hopes up for a sec, but this one actually ended up kind of disappointing. This last game is the exact opposite. Expectations started low, but this ended up being the best Souls-like on the entire platform. I mean that statement. This has my endorsement for the best Dreams Souls-like, but you have to trust me because that's going to sound crazy at first. It's called Dark Souls Undead Kings. First, get a load of this opening cutscene.
Pickle man! What? what a waste. Undead Kingdom.
You might see a low-poly king model with silly, exaggerated animations, vomiting blood, and hear some teenager yelling voice lines into a low-quality microphone. Which, yes, those things are happening. But I see a game that has an opening cutscene, characters that are not only voice-acted but subtitled, and plot exposition that sets up our reason to play the game. Including these aspects, even if janky, goes well beyond expectations for the platform. We begin in the mass grave, tasked with collecting 4 big souls. We've got the usual controls like attack and block, and I test out combat against the basic skeleton spawning in on me, racking up a couple of souls. This game has breakable barrels and fake player messages on the floor. Pick up a humanity and some throwing knives, then reach the Far Fire, a sort of Majula hub area. The blacksmith nearby offers weapon upgrades that are too expensive for now, so we warp to the Wayward Cliffs in pursuit of the first big soul. There's lots of hollows to fight, and a Firekeeper statue I can pray at to give me some extra lightning spear casts. I didn't realize I had lightning spears, so that pushed me to test them out, though these enemies were not really that dangerous I couldn't melee them. There's some carefully placed firebombs just before the boss arena for this asylum demon. Now, I forgot I should have been using spellcasts here, but instead I spent down my projectiles and meleeed the boss for the win, and my first big soul. Hey look, this game even included Praise the Sun spots. Turn those souls we got into weapon upgrades, then head to level 2, the Annex. This is a darker area with frog enemies, and a torch is added to our left hand. We can light braziers as we go, a la the Gutter or the Dark Chasms, and hey wait, NPC invasions? Through a dark room crawling with hollows, a fog gate leads to Goth's lair? But we're fighting Smo, not a Goth. This time I remember that I have miracles and lead with a few of those, but those run out quick and I have to do most of the work in melee, avoiding hammer swings and butt slams. He explodes in fireworks when we win. Back at the Far Fire, a friendly skeleton is taking warmth, and Patches has opened a new path for us into the King's Pit. No way we trust him on that, right? This really awkward Solaire wannabe has a 4th wall-breaking quest for us. He is left-handed, so he wants us to find a right-handed shield for him. Now let's see about this King's Pit. Turns out there is some danger down here from a zombie invader, but there's also a laughing king's head that serves as a covenant leader. Sure, I'll join up. I offer him all the humanity I have so far, but it's not enough to see any sort of reward. The next area is the Long Mile, and this is the least cohesive level so far. It's just a plains full of sheep that aren't worth killing, some reused frogs and zombies, and this level is feeling a little directionless. I go to collect one item that turns into a zombie ambush, and later I find a right-handed shield that should satisfy our knight friend. A cellar door takes me down to the Goblin Keep with big stone faces that spawn hordes of goblins. The combats in here are finally getting serious. There's a high number of goblins in the swarms, and these huge spiked club goblin champions are highly dangerous on their own. This level got me spending down my miracle cast and consumables, which I think is a good thing. It's funny how I play a game more healthy regarding consumable use when I have this attitude of, oh, it's just some unserious fan game. I limp up to the fog gate and, thankfully, a bonfire. Then the boss is some mega goblin with a Smo's hammer. He's got some new moves, voice lines that I can't make out, and spawns a bunch of ads, making the fight hectic, but some mad waggling of the sword burns him down at the end. Back at the Far Fire, I cannot locate the knight to deliver his right-handed shield, but I do have several more humanities to deliver to the king face, so I drop down to the King's Pit. After what I think was my 6th, he rewards me with basically a Chloranthy ring, and after 10 he disappears. I guess we maxed out Covenant loyalty? The final area is Cursed Village, a cute little Minecrafty medieval town. The militia swarms me, but they're not a problem. What does hurt are these jousting knights if you end up on the wrong side of a lance. I didn't find much special here besides a gate to a bonfire and the village master's basement where we take on the final boss. This boss is a huge set of Daedric armor with a horde of torch-bearing cultists telling me to go back to hell. I spent down bombs here for AoE against the crowd, then two-handed my sword to chop down the armor. Afterward, the last firekeeper, she's here, I guess. The camera pans to the floor and I think we won? I upgrade my weapon a final time, which despawns the blacksmith, and interacting with the fire cleanses it and starts us into New Game Plus. I had the thought while playing this game that the developer would make an excellent project manager. No aspect of this game is individually great, but what Undead Kings has done that no other Souls-like on the platform has done is finish a complete game with working bonfires, player messages, weapon upgrades, the option to one or two-hand your weapon, NPC invasions, torch, Praise the Sun moments, voiced dialogue, subtitles, quests, a vendor, a freaking covenant with devotion rewards, New Game Plus, hell, patches is in this. None of these elements are polished, but they are all here and they all work. They never let perfection get in the way of completeness. Undead Kings has, by a long shot, the most mature game logic of anything bearing the Bloodborne tag. This comment by Rare sums things up very well when they say, this game is bad, but also good at the same time. I'm assuming that this was made by a younger creator, but from what I can tell, they're still creating in 2024, and they really should consider making more Souls-likes because they nailed the format. If I'm right and they are a younger person, I sincerely hope they pursue a career in game development or study it in school, and let me test out their games when they become huge. Dark Souls Undead Kings is an awkward recommend, but nevertheless, I endorse it for any Souls fans on Dreams. That was 14 more Bloodborne fan games. I tried, like with last time, to keep a balance between real games, playable dioramas, and that kind of meme trash that is sort of common on the platform. That dang dancing cone on the Blood Moon was our only overt nonsense, but that SpongeBob game, despite being pretty scuffed, was technically a functioning game, and that deserves some credit. Then we had two that can be considered masterpieces in their own ways, Undead Kings and Frost's Journey 2, which was, again, one of the most atmospheric games that I have ever played, Dreams or not. There's at least one more batch of Bloodborne fan games to cover on Dreams that I would like to do, so hopefully we'll see more later. Do subscribe if you'd like to catch that when it comes out. We've also got a very exciting As Intended video in the works for a popular IP that I have not covered yet. Thank you very much to my patrons for supporting the channel. You're the literal blood in my veins, keeping me going, and I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you, the viewer, so much for watching through to the end. I hope that you have a very nice rest of your week. Peace out, Girl Scout.